Hi everyone, I am working from home with Peter here. I just wanted to say real quick that I think you'll enjoy this podcast episode about lighting, but it was recorded 1 month ago before social distancing when I was still traveling for work, so a very different time. Hey indie filmmakers, I'm Griffin Hammond.
I'm Nick Bodmer, and today we're going to upgrade my lighting setup. Just wish I had a filmmaker in the house who could help me out.
Hello there!
He's in the house!
Hi! How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm here in Las Vegas with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put you to work.
Yeah, so we talked about doing this episode where you change your whole lighting situation. You weren't happy with it.
It's not great. As you can see here, it's a hodgepodge. We can actually show it now. I've got a stand lamp. I've got a little LED panel on a Gorilla Pod. And that's it. Room lights.
Yeah.
So.
And then today's weird because I've set up a second camera, which I don't even know if I'm going to use this shot again. It was really just for the
It was for the intro. But, you know, let's roll it. Let's waste some SD card.
Yeah. So we're going to open up your lights. We're going to set them up. Although I do want to say right off the bat, I am not a purist for... I think your lighting's fine. Like, I'm glad that we're going to do this exercise. But I think anything that's well lit, like, your shot looks good to me. Yeah.
Your shot always looks better. Let's be honest, right? You got a little splash of color in the background.
Yeah.
So it was, it was Black Friday. That's how long I've waited to actually do this, because it's February now. And there's a great deal on this great Video Maker 2-panel RGB LED lighting set. That's what I said. Click and buy.
Let's open it up.
So let's open it up.
For those of you watching on YouTube, we have abandoned our normal setup of doing this remotely with 2-shot split screen. And today we have a wide angle camera. We're using the 8 to 18 millimeter lens on my GH5S to shoot the whole room. And I'm actually wearing a lav mic, which I don't usually love to do, but...
Fantastic. All right, so look.
So what is this brand?
I have no idea.
GVM Great Video Maker.
Yeah, I think it's a budget brand, but it had decent reviews. I found a couple online.
So this is a 2-light kit, RGB lights. What was the price tag on this?
That's a great question. I feel like it was on sale for something like $160.
Oh, nice.
And includes 2 light stands.
Yeah. They feel like fairly lightweight light stands, but I feel like they'll do the job. So yeah, the wingspan on these legs is not very wide, but I'm assuming these
the
are
lights are
huge,
not huge lights. Yeah. And then here are the 2 lights. Silica gel, keep things dry. It says do not eat. Fun fact, it wouldn't hurt you if you did, because people just want you to know it's not a food product.
What?
Yeah, it's not like poisonous or anything.
Oh.
It's silica. It's like sand.
So, and they just put that on there because people would eat it?
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. Don't actually eat it. What if I read something wrong on the internet and now people die? All right, so here's the first panel.
Oh, these are cute.
Cute, yeah.
No, I mean, they look fancy.
They're 800D-RGB. They can be powered by 2 of those Sony batteries. Yeah. I did read in a review you need both in order to power them up. You can't use one or the other. You have to have 2.
Strange.
I'll plan on using them on AC. There's an app you can use to control the lights, so they are Wi-Fi enabled. But I've read the app is not great, so I just intend to use the back panel. They've got barn doors built in.
It's interesting because it kind of like looks like metal, but everything's plastic. But it has like a decent heft to it.
Yeah.
I actually can't get these 2 middle barn doors open just because they're so recessed.
In there. Well, I'll work on that. So, Griffin, I'm not a lighting expert. What's the general strategy here when...
Well, so you know 3-point lighting, right?
Yeah, but let's review. So you've got your key light, your fill light, and your backlight. Is that 3-point lighting?
Yeah, so I'll sit in my spot real quick, and right now I kind of have 2 lights going on. One, I've set up I've brought my own Flex LED, Westcott Flex LED. That's acting as my key light. It's hitting me here. And then if I move my hand here, you can see that I'm getting some light on the side of my face. That's actually just from this this household lamp that Nick has right here. If anything, though, I think you would call this a fill because it's filling in the shadows here. If anything, though, I kind of like the shadow that I would get if that light wasn't there. So sometimes I kind of just like having a nice, soft key light doing most of the work and then letting some dramatic shadows happen. But that would be your fill if you're trying to fill in those shadows. And then, yeah, if I wanted to have a third light, I suppose, Nick, you could hold this little tiny aperture behind me. Let me pump it up a little bit.
A pie?
Yeah, so right there we're hitting a little bit of my hair. Bring it around like this way more. Go back up like here, yeah. So now we're hitting like the top of my hair, and we might hit some of my shoulders with this. So you could play around with where a backlight goes. The other thing you can do with a backlight, though, is just shine it at the background. Like instead of shining it at me, you could also use, sometimes I've done that, like throw a bunch of color on the background.
Which is kind of one thing I think might look nice with my background.
Yeah. So you have a 2-light kit. We can't do 3-point lighting. I also think 3-point lighting can be overkill for these kinds of things sometimes. I think you can do a lot with 2 lights.
So they've got diffuser panels, which are removable. What are your thoughts on that? Do I want to run with diffusion or no?
You do, and so,
all right, so I'll leave that in.
These little diffusion panels, they won't make a huge difference in terms of like they're not going to suddenly make it a lot softer. I think what they kind of do is they eliminate these tiny little shadows that you get from the LEDs. If you remove this diffusion panel, you could actually see like 100 little shadows.
Oh, really?
From like each individual LED.
So unless the lights are really far away, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You want to keep those in all the time.
Yeah, I think you just want this all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless for some reason you want 100 little shadows.
Could look good. Could look good.
So we don't have batteries for these, but we have AC power. So is that all we have to do? Is just plug them in and turn them on?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Here, let me just plug one in here and let's fire it up. See what we got. So we could read the instructions, but that doesn't sound like fun.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Let's just power it up. So I'm going to plug in the power here. And I've got a switch here, battery or adapter or off. We're in off. I'm going to go to adapter. Hey, look at that.
Oh.
Got some light.
Immediately what's noticeable is we are running very yellow lights in this room. They're incandescent bulbs. They're probably in the 3500 Kelvin range. I actually have my flex light set to 3500 to match. Clearly this is a much cooler, bluer light. So what? These must be 5,000 or...
Right now it's set to 4100 Kelvin.
4100,
For
okay.
the LCD display on the back, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Mine is set to a much warmer temperature at 3200.
I can set this one to 3200 as well.
So this is my first complaint about this light, and you've already discovered it, that you have a brightness knob and you have a color, it looks like a color temperature knob.
Hue, saturation, color control, I think, is what it's...
But like out of the box, they don't do anything, the dials? You have to push a button before they do.
Well, what I saw was mine was in Wi-Fi mode. So it's waiting for that app you can download.
Oh yeah, mine is in Wi-Fi mode.
So if you push the Wi-Fi reset/mode button, it will switch into a standard.
There we go. That's just kind of funny though. To have 2 dials on the back, you'd think they would just do something immediately.
Now, perhaps for colors, you have to use the app, because I'm here in rotate mode, and I don't see the ability to change the colors. But I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and at first I thought, oh, this is just a bicolor LED, because you have a panel of a strip of lights that look like they're the cool color, probably like 6,000 Kelvin. You have a strip of lights that look like they're the warm color, probably 2,800. And then everything in between is just a mix of the two. But it does look like there's a third row that's missing here. That must be where the RGB comes in.
Yeah. So, let's get the app out, huh? And it says connecting. So let me put this into Wi-Fi mode.
Although you would think, like, you have all these dials on the back, you would think you could just, like, push the mode button again and change it to color mode or something. This is kind of my pet peeve in this is like a trend in filmmaking, that all the gear we're buying now has Wi-Fi functionality, which is nice, but it's never convenient. Like, like, you know, my cameras have Wi-Fi, which is fun, but I just always worry that Wi-Fi is not a great
protocol, especially out in the field.
And it's weird that this is an RGB light, but I don't see a way to control RGB without the app. Ooh, purple.
Dramatic. So I've got an app here with a color wheel. You can turn it on and off. It's kind of cool. And I can select a color. Now, oddly...
Oh, so when you're in color mode, it completely turns off the bi-color LED strips.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really operating at a half as much power as the bicolor mode, potentially. Unless, I don't know, maybe these color LEDs are more powerful.
About as low as the power output goes right there. I can control saturation and
so
color temperature.
So a lot of RGB panels that I've seen, like Westcott makes an RGB panel, to do a color, you're really like mixing many different, like you'll have a red, a blue, and a green, and maybe that is
surely that must be what's happening inside there. There's really no other way to make color.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm interested in is that you're not like sliding between colors, are you? It kind of looks like it's clicking between them.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you are sliding a dial, but it is kind of clicking from one color to the next. So maybe not, it's not a 255 color possibilities.
No, it sure isn't.
It's more like 12 colors.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's still fine. It's still cool.
All right. So we got that, and it gets pretty bright.
Yeah. All right, so let's try something. Let's turn off every other light that we're using, and we'll just use these.
Put my old instructions down. I'm an expert now.
All right, and so with one light going, we immediately realize kind of the problem you've tried to solve in the past, that it just doesn't look like a real room.
No, it's very dark.
Yeah. So that's why you had kind of this key light going plus...
we still have the room lights on, though. Should we kill those?
Yeah, let's kill those, too.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're really talking.
But even with the room light, this was powerful enough that it was kind of knocking that out. But yeah, this just doesn't look natural.
And
at
what
all.
power level do you have this at right here?
I'm at 55.
So we got a lot of power left to go.
So I could turn down the power level.
So we're in a dark room. It's nighttime. We have a single light. How do you? I'm in auto white balance mode right now. So white balance should be taking care of itself. How do you decide a color temperature? Is there like an ideal base color temperature when there's no other factors at play?
I don't think so. As
long as the white balance and the light match, kind of that's the way white balance works.
It's great to have a bicolor LED because a lot of times you are mixing. You're in a situation where you're going to have to mix.
Sunlight coming through the window.
Yeah, you either have sunlight coming in, which is going to be somewhere around like 5,500, or you'll be in someone's office where you can't turn off all the lights, and so you want to set it to 3,500 or 3,200 or something.
So right off the bat, this to me, it looks like it's a little too far to my side. If this is my plane of view here, I'm getting really dramatic shadows, but maybe you like that. Is that what you're thinking? Then as we bring in the backlight?
I mean, I like some dramatic shadow, but yeah, this may be a little much. And actually, let's look at a difference here about where we put this key light, because I think, I mean, this is working for me, this angle. Mm-hmm. But often when I set up a key light, I put it on the other side of my face. I kind of do like camera, look space, then light. And you have it kind of set up as look space, camera, and light over here.
Which is just kind of a function of the space I'm dealing with.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense for the space you're in. But let's see what this would look like if we moved it to the other side of you.
Those cables long enough? Oh, they're pretty long, yeah. It's nice.
So if we brought it over here...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's so my look.
It's probably hard to tell right now, but he's basically holding it against the wall that my desk is up against, kind of up and to my left, which I'm not sure how I would mount that, but I almost wonder if I could mount it with like something up to what if it was up higher, like by the curtain rod? Could I mount it to that curtain rod? Is that too high?
I mean, with your glasses, now we're getting a little bit of shadow on your face. If we bring it down... Although now we're getting maybe
reflection, yeah.
So maybe
you can see that right here.
Maybe because of your glasses, where you had it worked pretty well. But yeah, this is kind of the look I do for myself.
Okay.
Where I get a little bit of shadow
On the near
here.
side of the camera is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. Now, and you can keep bringing this around to get more and more dramatic shadow depending on the look of what you're trying to shoot. In fact,
for this podcast, we want it as dramatic as possible.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like if I'm shooting a crime documentary, maybe this is a really cool look. For just a podcast, pretty straight on, well lit, but some shadow to give you definition. I like that look.
Right.
We can keep coming around. The one thing I'd never want to do is light at the same angle as the camera.
Just flattens everything out.
Yeah.
You kind of just look like, it's that look of a on-camera flash.
Yeah.
That,
Although this look, especially with no other light going on, is kind of like an interesting, almost like fashion music video look. I mean, it doesn't look natural.
People don't say that about me very much, so I appreciate that.
And let's see. Let's keep coming around to where you normally have your light. I mean, that gives us a fair amount of shadow on you. So that's probably too much. So we might almost want to be closer to the camera if we do this. But see, now we're starting to get into that space where it's almost like the on-camera look. I think that's how I settle on
over there.
This, because it seems like, I like that shape.
But what would you do with my setup here? It's going to be pretty hard for me to keep... Griffin is holding the light very nicely there, but there's not a real easy way for me to put a light there unless I mount it to the wall. I have a window right here that's blocked off. So
I feel like what you could do is some sort of clamp. I mean, I have some Petco Ultra clamps,
of course,
with me. You could almost do something off that bar.
Yeah, just down a little.
Yeah. But I think for the sake of simplicity right now, we should just keep it...
So I've still got some dramatic shadow. And you want it, just a little bit above eye level? Kind of, how do you decide? Again, you were worried about the that's shadows of my glasses?
I mean, one way to think about lighting is that the lighting that your audience is most familiar with is sunlight and indoor light, and all of that lighting is above. So you almost never want to have lighting below. I mean, let's do that real quick. We can put this light below Nick. And the shadows just don't make any sense. We're seeing shadows in places that we're not used to seeing them.
Right.
You can go all the way up to the ceiling, which is what like normal indoor lighting looks like, but it just adds more shadows. It makes them more dramatic. So something that's near his eye line, but probably up to just feel natural. Because the moment I go under your eye line, we just start to get shadows in weird places.
Okay.
So yeah, I think something like this is pretty good.
And what about brightness? So obviously we're probably a lot overexposed on my face right now. This is where you pop in an ND filter once you kind of get all the lights on, or you crank the brightness. How do you kind of...
Yeah, so here's an ND that we could throw on. Oh, that's way too dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've gotten to the bottom of your ISO range and you don't have anywhere to go, that's when you start throwing on an ND.
Okay.
The other thing we could do with this light, I mean, it's already relatively soft, but one thing you could always do is like bounce it off your wall. Let me turn it way up. I mean, we'll need more brightness to do this, but so if I go up to 100%, we could turn up this ISO.
Very soft though, yeah.
Yeah, so now we've come up with a very soft, it looks more natural. It's starting to look like, oh, this was just sunlight coming through a window, maybe.
Yeah, so
actually, that looks pretty nice.
Looks pretty good. I just took the ISO way up from 500 to 2000, but...
Yeah. So this is what I often do if I just have one light and I'm going into a situation interviewing someone for kind of a news thing, and I just want it to look good, well lit, but not like I brought in a light kit. I just want it to look natural. This is a easy way to do it, is just push as much light as you can off a wall and it'll be very soft.
The whole wall becomes a softbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's not what we're going for here. So let's
bring the ISO back down.
Back to a light on Nick. So now let's figure out what to do with your second light.
Okay.
Let's start with color, because I want to let's try to mimic what I do in my office.
Okay.
I do one key light, although I kind of bounce it off a wall and make it real soft. And then I do, as a backlight, I don't really have a place to put a light behind me. It would be visible. So instead, I just throw a bunch of light on the background and I use a color.
And what color should I start on here?
Ooh, there's blue. Ooh, I like that. The kind of like cyan blue.
Okay.
I already like this look. I mean, it's very produced.
Right.
I mean, this would be, I could see this for a YouTuber.
Which I am.
Like, you want that look of, if you want the look of like, I'm really trying to make a set here. Ooh, actually, now I'm kind of getting a bounce off you a little.
Yeah, but can you barn door it?
Oh, yeah, so I can barn door this to keep it off this, kind of off your white doors a little bit.
Yeah. And what about keeping it off? It's actually reflecting off my computer monitor. I don't know if that matters, except for the fact that I can see it.
Oh, yeah. I just found out a whole lot I can do about that.
All right, well, I'm not worried about it. Yeah. And this is at max brightness, so I can control that as well.
Yeah. So right now, from this angle, I'm kind of doing double duty as a backlight. I am hitting you, which is causing that blue reflection off your head. So that's kind of an interesting backlight. And then I'm also throwing all over the background.
So this is another reason why it might be nice if my key light were on the other side, because then this blue light would be filling in the shadowed area. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If this were here, this would be the shadowed side of my face. I'd have the blue.
Yeah. We also could do, I mean, there's different places you could put backlights. You could try to hide it underneath, and we still get some glow off your hair.
Now, one of the things I like when you can get that shoulder separation. You see that? And I've read, it might be good to wear, like, this is probably a bad color to wear with a dark background, right? Because I don't really pop off. So maybe if I wore, like, yellow or something brighter, I'd feel a little more separated from the background.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm able to do in my office is because I'm using, like, very, very targeted spotlights. Mm-hmm. These are very flooded lights, so they kind of just throw light everywhere. There's not a lot of control with these barn doors.
Right.
The bigger your light source, the softer it is, softer shadows, but it also means you can't really control it very well.
Now, what do you think about having the light source in the frame? It was actually kind of like the look of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, for what we do?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And then if I maybe take the brightness on it down, see, I can kind of dial it in. It's kind of fun. Yeah. I don't know.
So let's try a more natural look. Okay. Put it on a regular color, just like 3500 Kelvin. Okay, that looks pretty normal. So if we like mounted this from your ceiling or something, actually, yeah, now we're getting kind of a nice like hair light.
Hair light, yeah.
And look, it looks pretty natural.
It really does. And it's actually still throwing light on the background. I kind of like that.
What it's doing right now that's interesting is it's kind of throwing light all over your room. It's bouncing off the ceiling. So it just kind of fills up the room. Like, put this thing away. This doesn't look like a real room. Mm-hmm. But when it's way up here, just throwing light all over the room.
Here, you hold it there. I could click it on and off. Ready?
Yeah.
Off.
So it's kind of doing a bunch
It brings the room to life, and it kicks my hair, and it gives me a little definition.
Fill for the room,
yeah.
It gives nice definition to everything.
And could that be done, because you're holding it above the frame, but could it be done just off the frame, pointing up?
Let's see, yeah.
Like on a light stand?
Now we're getting a little
bit
the
hair light, we lose that a little bit, but it does the same to the room. Yeah.
And here we have to worry about, I suppose you could always move that sriracha poster, but...
reflections.
Reflecting off that, yeah.
But I can't move the sriracha poster.
Yeah.
That is a signed sriracha poster. The director of that film signed it, so that's going to be worth some money someday.
So what you really need to do is just screw a hole in your ceiling. Actually, that wouldn't be the worst place for it.
Yeah, I know that's what you do. You've got like pull-out bars in your closet and stuff.
Oh yeah, I actually have both my lights mounted from the ceiling.
Yeah, I'm not gonna drill anything to my ceiling.
Yeah, so I guess for the moment, having it just at a frame to this side would make sense.
And what do you think about colors? So you usually run blue in your frame, and we're side by side. Do I want like an opposite color, like an orangey yellow, or even a reddish maybe?
Let's try it. I have a feeling it'll look. I think one of the cool things about blue is that it looks intentional. If you go to like tungsten or kind of orangey color, I think one of the problems with like yellowy orange color is that your audience associates it with indoor lighting. Mm-hmm. So it kind of just doesn't, unless you go real orange, it kind of just feels like a not very intentional color choice.
So what if you go like red? It's scary.
I think it makes sense to throw color on the background. Mm-hmm. Like once it's separated from your head, I think that looks more interesting. Yeah. But I think when we throw a bunch of color on your head, it just starts to feel like, why are you making that weird backlight choice?
So what would you do here?
Actually, for some reason, I always like a little bit of blue on a person's as a backlight. I don't mind that. I think if you want to do color, you're just going to have to do something more dramatic, like the background is getting the color, not you.
Okay, show me what that would look like. And again, I'm on auto white balance, and you can see as you move this light around, like
Oh yeah, now it's turning your face very orange, yeah.
What I'd want to do is set my white balance to
The
key light, which is set at what?
I think it's at around 3,500.
Well, should I do that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So now we have switched to manual white balance, 3,500 Kelvin, which is exactly matching the key light, and I don't look orange anymore, which is nice.
Yeah.
So let's get this back to the more natural look that we had, regular color. Yeah, I still think like the ideal position would be back here so it doesn't throw too much light like bouncing off the side of your face, because I think that can create some interesting shadows.
So I'm tempted, I mean, again, thinking very specifically about the requirements of my lighting setup, which is going to be on light stands.
Yeah.
I mean, am I crazy to put it where the light is in this shot and have it just be a background light and a color?
You're saying in the shot like this?
Yeah, but just shining on the background and flip it to a color.
I mean...
It's a little lame. I don't know, we have a filmmaking podcast.
Yeah.
He's too nice. He hates the idea, but he won't say it out loud.
It's cooler. Like, if it... I don't know, like...
It's the coolest looking light I got. All right.
I think on its own, this light doesn't look interesting enough. Unless you had it pointed... I think almost pointing into the camera is a more interesting look than...
It's very dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I don't love about this light placement is just...
This little reflection that you're getting on the side of your head, just because it kind of hits your face in different places at the same time. But that's kind of the limitation of shooting on a really wide angle lens in a small room. There's very limited places where we can put the stands.
Yep. I think it's beautiful. Now, but this isn't going to work because we can't both be blue.
I don't know. We could both be blue. We could try it.
We could sing that song.
Blue and Abadi Abadi.
That's the one.
I mean, I still think I like the natural color here.
It doesn't seem as fun, but all right. So what do I need? Maybe I need to get some, like what, they have those tube LED lights or an LED strip or do something for the background.
accent,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you have this shelf. You could put something back here and it might light up in here.
I did think it might be interesting to put LED strips under each of those boxes so they all light up. I don't know.
Yeah, except they'd be visible maybe.
Right.
Now, the other thing sometimes I'll do, like with this, if I can point it towards the wall to reflect off the wall for a softbox, if I'm looking for a more natural look, a lot of times I can just take a light and just turn it towards the ceiling. Now I'm like filling the room.
And let me just ask a general question. I think go back to the look we like. Which it is, I like it. Now that you're telling me it looks good, I feel like it looks good. But my initial impression would be the background's too dark. But that's, I guess, kind of what you want for separation.
Yeah. And, especially like you have these big white doors. It's not a big problem that we've minimized them. If we light them up too much, they just become the focal point of your shot.
Ta-da!
That's not a great look.
I think we should have spotlights on my Saturn V rocket.
Oh, yeah.
Which nobody noticed, which was new in the last episode. Somebody noticed the Wheel of Time, though. Big fan on that.
Should we thank our sponsor, Squarespace?
Squarespace? Yes. Hey Indie Filmmakers is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your filmmaking business.
Nick, I like doing this ad read with you right next to you.
I didn't like how you kept looking at me. It was distracting. But we did good.
I have been doing a lot of traveling this month on the campaign trail, and so there's only been a couple things I've been able to do when I come home, and it's like for my business, it's like doing taxes and updating my Squarespace website so that people can see all these campaign films that I've been making. So I have a page set up at griffinhammond.com/recount, the company that I work for, and it's just all the campaign trail films that I've been making. And I've made several in the last few weeks, so they are all there. And one of the ways that I'm very happy to use my website.
And it's easy, right? Like, because you've been traveling, you don't have a lot of time, you probably want to see your family.
Oh, yeah.
And just boom, you're done. So check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Griffin. Not Nick. to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
I'm looking at you.
Squarespace.com/Griffin. Thank you, Squarespace.
Thank you.
All right, we got a beautiful lighting setup.
Yeah. I mean, I still think I would prefer the key light up here.
I might find a way to make the key light go up there, but that was out of the scope of this live episode.
Yeah. And I think like the main lesson to take is that all lights can move in a 360 around the subject, and you should take the time to move your stands around and ask yourself what shadows are you creating, what reflections are you creating, and what is going to make you happiest.
I'm happy.
I feel like normally at the end of an episode we have a bunch of banter. There's something about being remote,
and like you're like 2 inches from my face.
When we're this close, weird. It's like we don't have to share anything vocally. We're just two close friends.
Being awesome. So, do you know what we say?
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. No, I think we should record this. This is important.
Okay. I want a chicken quesadilla and a chicken chalupa.